So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, "The two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born." I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. A young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you're very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
and I had to learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them. Now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old. With the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. He didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
December 22nd. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country, and good morning to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York, and for the next 3 hours, you can join the conversation. All you have to do is call me at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or tweet me at, well, don't tweet me. Go to live stream and give me a message on the message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and go to the message board and send a message, and I'll read it on the air. Janet Overall says, good afternoon, everyone. Have a good day. She's already on the message board. What is this? Martise Chisholm. I'm trying to read your handle name. Martise Chisholm. Okay. Greetings from Reverend Sharpton from our new Greater Memphis chapter. All right, Martise. Greater Memphis National Action Network. Martise, congratulations. Glad to have you in the family. And then I want to, Happiness Donuts is saying, Reverend Willie on this past Saturday Action Network was a gift from God to me. Well, I'm going to let Reverend Willie know he was a blessing to you. She watched the rally on live stream, Saturday Action Rally. Glad to hear that. And she also saying happy birthday to my grandson, Marcus Al. His birthday is December 29th, but we celebrated this week because he's going to Florida with his dad and won't be here. And in fact, last night he came to studio, the new studios at MS Now, and watched my show, met the Harlem Globetrotter leader. So he's having a great birthday. Let me say this, a lot to talk about. Let me get right down to the business because it's Hot Button Monday, and there's a lot to hot button about. The first issue that is top of the news and top of the outrage, as far as I'm concerned, is that top administration officials are defending the partial release of Epstein files, as some Democrats and even some Republicans are crying foul. Now, Todd Blanche, who is the Deputy Attorney General and was the former defense lawyer for Donald Trump, he defended the Justice Department's decision to release just a fraction of the Jeffrey Epstein files by the congressionally mandated deadline. It was a mandated deadline as necessary to protect survivors of sexual abuse of the disgraced and convicted and now deceased former financier. Blanche pledged that the Trump administration eventually would meet the obligation. Now, the reason he's given is he's saying that they put up one picture and had to take it down because of they didn't want to compromise one of the victims. The picture they had put up was of Donald Trump and some of the people. So now they were saying that Donald Trump never met the victims. Then if he never met the victims, then why did you have to take down the picture to protect the victims? You can't have both ways. Either one of the victims was in the picture, or you took it down because it was Donald Trump and you trying to play fast. Let's talk about this. A disgrace what we're still going through. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, I see the mayor's on message board, Rodney Jones, and let me read him in a minute, but I want to add to the whole Epstein file story that lawmakers are now threatening to hold the Attorney General Bondi with contempt over the Bondi trials. And she is also being threatened with whether they want to take it to courts. It's going to be interesting. We also see they went after another boat, another vessel at Venezuela. And we're going to talk about that. This whole thing, is it oil or is it drugs that they're after? And a lot of people, the mayor and the others, Mayor Rodney Jones of Queensbridge Houses, has put on a message pad, Nicki Minaj has lost her mind in some of her fan base. Well, let's go to break on that. I think a lot of folks might agree with the mayor on that. For you that don't know, Nicki Minaj went to the Charlie Kirk's Turning Point organization that is very conservative. Vance, J.D. Vance, Steve Bannon, all of them there. And she's all the way Trump. And she has a right to do it, and people had the right to question her for doing it. Let's take a break. Be right back. Let's start loading up the phones. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back.
Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement. And I think that is extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach Black history and you can't teach certain other histories. And the curriculum, you have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes blacks. We want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight in the courts and the streets, because they are literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, in which they made DEI, started at Harvard with a black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, the ACP would have been formed together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation. Then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in the South. I had a thought this morning that I wanted to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones, and too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about it is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I help formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to youth, on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself.
Rev, you know, you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that
Yep.
was going on in Brooklyn at
Yep.
that time, at
Yep.
Howard Beach. You
Yep.
were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, but I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene with yourself,
Yep.
Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair,
Yeah,
man.
you had the head on.
Yeah, it was.
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. We went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK.
It's been a long time coming, but I'm
1968. Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
Because I have a dream today.
When they came for the dream. Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. A lot of what is now being discussed in media, what is called mainstream media by some, is that it seems as though the spell that Donald Trump had on the right is beginning to show some cracks. Not, let me be real clear, not enough for anybody to relax, but little by little, some of these Republicans are standing up to him. And we're going to see what happens. Elise Stefanik, who was running for governor of New York against Kathy Hochul, was running for the Republican nomination. Blakeman, who is the Republican Nassau County head in Nassau County, New York, announced he was going to run against her for Republican nomination. And Trump kind of said something that was not too supportive of Stefanik. Stefanik pulled out the race and said she's not going to run again for a congressional seat. You got 2 or 3 others. So things are fluid. I think the Democrats need to go to work. They should not. It is never a good strategy to sit back and wait on your opponent to beat themselves. The best strategy is get your game plan, your fight plan, and execute it to the fullest. And some things you don't even respond to. You know, I see. I was at an event the other night, and the guy said to me, "Reverend Mal, I see you deal with criticism. How do you handle it?" I said, "Well, some criticism's not worth handling. Some people, you know, will criticize you for stuff that doesn't even amount to dignifying it with an answer. And then some things you answer because there might be enough ambiguity in there. And so I'm not going to respond to everything. And I would advise you do the same thing. Let me say by way of announcements, don't forget Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now. MS Now. And clearly, this weekend we had everybody from Mayor Karen, Mayor, I started to say Karen Bass, but we had the mayor of Oakland, Barbara, was on, and we had her, we had Congressman Amo, we had the Harlem Globetrotters. I really was very happy to have them on, and many others, dealing with the Epstein files, dealing with what's going on in Venezuela, dealing with what is going on with black unemployment. Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley was super on Saturday night. This weekend, even on a holiday weekend, I'm going to get some of these senators and congresspeople on. And then on that Saturday, live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now. And then on Sunday this week, we're gonna have the Revy Awards. You want to watch this, Al. This is the 15th year of the Revy Awards, and you're gonna want to see this. That's where the Revy Awards is named after me, the Revy Awards, and it's gonna be 5 o'clock on Sunday on MS Now, and we reviewed the top and the worst of the year, and I give out awards. Done this 15 years in a row. People have now stopped me in the street saying, "When are the Revy Awards?" Well, it's this Sunday. So I'll be live Saturday with the political issues, commentaries, and then Sunday I'm going to do the Revy Awards. All right, and then you that are in the New York area, meet me and have Christmas dinner with me. Christmas lunch, brunch, dinner, whatever you want to call it. We start 11 o'clock this Thursday at the House of Justice, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue in the village of Harlem. 12 noon and 11 o'clock until we're going to have some of our elected officials there, but we more important than anybody coming with me, we're feeding the elderly that don't have family here. We're feeding the homeless. We already have people signed up that's volunteering. You can come. Many come and say, I'll volunteer to serve for an hour, and then I'm going home and have Christmas dinner with my family. And that's a good thing. So be there. If you want to make sure you have a slot, call 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651. Or you can go to the website at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Someone was saying to me that they do not get along with their family anymore. so they gonna come and help serve. And I said, well, okay. I mean, I'm not telling people what to do. You know, a lot of people get into other folks' business. And my thing is, let's just keep going. I don't know what happened with your family. You don't know what happened with my family or friends. People ask me all the time about what happened to you and so-and-so. If I can't say nothing good, I'd rather not say nothing at all. But just know that if you're not in somebody's family, and if you're not in somebody's association, you may not know what you're talking about. You may have one side or your side. So it's better just keep on going and let's do what we supposed to do. And we supposed to make sure we can look out for those that need to be looked out for. And I'm going to do that. I've been doing this since I joined the movement at 12 years old. And I say that, you know, people ask me why I always mention Reverend Jones and Reverend Jackson, because they started me when I was 12. A lot of the movement people I later got with was in the 80s. I was in my late 20s or 30s. I was in this since I was 12 and going to be in it until it's over. Let's get ready to take some calls. 1-877-532-5797. Karen Ellis is on the message board saying, I'm from Ohio, but living in Paris, France. Listening to us in Paris, France. All right, Karen. Well, thank you. And I hope you have a wonderful holiday over there in Paris, and I'm grateful that you let us know you're listening in Paris. Now, I know that we have our brother in Germany that calls often. Now I know we have people over in France, and I think that's a good thing to know. So you let people know all over the world what's going on where you are when you join in and be a part of Keeping It Real with Al Sharpton. Gwen. Okay, I got it now. Gwen Walton, 1084, says, good morning, Reverend Sharpton from beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. Thank you for continuing to speak up and speak out. We all should do the same. Well, good morning, Gwen. Phoenix is a beautiful city, and I love the people there. All right, let's get ready to take a break. We're going to start clean, going right to the phones after the break. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back. Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president, but we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're gonna have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm gonna keep marching, I'm gonna keep agitating, and I'm gonna keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time, Mariah, Chris, and your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again. Hello, New Orleans. Let me tell you straight, they did not think we could come and be here tonight. They cut budgets and advertising, but one black man, Rich Newton, has said, I don't care, my families come together every 4th of July weekend, and Essence will happen, because that's who we are. Give a big hand to Rich New Dennis for bringing us back. Why do we come? Because the essence of who we are is essential to what made this nation. We built this nation. We made this nation. We created the essential dollars that this nation lives off of. We don't care what bill they pass. We will not back up. We will not back down. We will not give in. We will not be chased out. We don't care who's in the White House. We will organize our house by house. We came over the Middle Passage. We survived slavery. We survived Jim Crow. Don't you give up now. Don't you turn back now. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. Reclaim your dignity. Reclaim your place. So we stand with the Global Black Economic Forum. We stand with Essence Magazine because that's who we are. So don't give in now. Yes, there's some rough days, but we've been through rougher days than this. Yes, Trump is a bad dude, but we beat badder dudes than Trump. So let's party with a purpose, because our rhythm and our music reminds us who we are, because we can smile through our pain and organize for our gain. Let's stand up and let's celebrate who we are. Thank you, God bless you.
You're live.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and it's Hot Butt Monday, whatever you want to talk about that's on your mind, that's in your heart, that's the talk in your community, in your neighborhood. A lot of people talking this weekend about the Epstein files and how they've only come out with 10% when they were mandated by Congress to come out and release all the files. A lot of talk about how they've hit another vessel in Venezuela. A lot of talk, and I brought this up on Politics Nation, about how unemployment among blacks is now almost double that to whites. So all of these people that said that Trump was going to help the economy, first of all, unemployment, period, is higher than it's been in several years. And black unemployment is almost double, black over 8% black unemployment, 7.1% black woman unemployment. So we can talk about that. We can talk about the Turning Point Conference this weekend. Is interesting because they're starting to have some breaks within their ranks. A lot to talk about, and I think we should let it out at the beginning of the week. Also, I'd be interested in letting you tell us, how do you think is the most constructive way, to celebrate Christmas and Kwanzaa? Christmas Day is this Thursday. Kwanzaa starts the day after. One of the things I said in my Saturday message at House of Justice is that Dr. Malana Karanga, who's the founder of Kwanzaa, was wise in how he did Kwanzaa, 7 principles of Nguza Saba, and we'll be doing each principle each day. And he did the 50th anniversary of Kwanzaa. I remember that Kwanzaa started when I was in junior high school, going to high school. And we started this Kwanzaa. And people, what is it? And we just young, and we got in it. And his 50th anniversary, he had at National Action Network's House of Justice up in Harlem. He came and did the Kwanzaa ceremony himself on the day. Kwanzaa started 50 years later. And I told him here, I was the kid trying to learn why we were doing Kwanzaa, why wasn't Christmas enough, and now we're hosting it. And one of the things he said, Reverend, you come out of the social justice movement based in the black church. And I said, yes, I was a boy preacher, got to be a teenage preacher and then activist, youth director of Operation Breadbasket in New York. He said, no, I know your background, been watching you for a while. He said, what you may not have understood is I started Kwanzaa, and I start Kwanzaa on the 26th of December, not the 25th, because I respect the fact that those that celebrate Christmas on the 25th, I'm not trying to compete with them or conflict with them. I start the day after and go 7 days. And I thought that was wise because so many of us look for ways to fight. And some of it is just personality fights. Some of it is grudges about stuff that don't make sense. And some of it's legitimate. But we need to at least not confuse the masses of our people. They got to choose one or the other. You can do Christmas and Kwanzaa, as I do. So let's talk about all of the issues and talk about the constructive way you think people should deal with Kwanzaa or Christmas, or Christmas, Kwanzaa or Christmas. Kwanzaa or Christmas. I'm trying to read and talk at the same time. I see Mayor Rodney Jones is on the message board saying, Rev, I just got off the phone. One of my sisters I haven't spoken to in a long time. I grew up with 5 older sisters, but 2 transitioned. Family is everything. I'm glad to hear that. I was trying to read as it was coming across the board. It is, family is everything. I try to go every Christmas and see Reverend Jackson and his family because I grew up under him. I talk, of course, Jenny Jones Austin. Her father was my last pastor. He passed. Family's everything. People that known you a long time, people that watched you grow, people that have the same environmental background. Family is important. That is a good recommendation. I talked James Brown's oldest daughter today already. James Brown died on Christmas Day, 2006. Let's go to the phone. Let's go. Let's start the week off right and go to my dear friend, Miss Eunice in Chicago. Miss Eunice, the beloved,
Good afternoon, Rev.
the
How are
beloved
you?
Miss Eunice, the beloved Miss Eunice. I'm getting your introduction right first. Go ahead, Miss Eunice.
Well, okay. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
And my continued prayers go out to Reverend Jackson and family. And I want to also say we need to learn the meaning of Christmas, the birth of Christ, and goodwill to mankind. And also, Reverend, when will the Republicans stand up and say enough is enough with all the things Trump is saying and doing? He's the most dangerous person around with his mentality and nuclear warfare in his hands. And the Republicans, remember, went along with Nixon until the tapes came out during the Watergate. They told him they could not go along anymore. So Nixon resigned. So this man in office now is doing exactly what he wants to do. And I don't understand how they continue to do so. They have family also. So what do you think about that?
I think that you hitting on something that is very, very important. I remember when I was a kid, there was an album out called Malcolm X Speaking to the Grassroots. And ironically, it was done at the church Reverend Charles Williams pastors now in Detroit. And in it, he said, chickens come home to roost. And I think that we're going to see that with the Republicans as these tapes start coming out. A lot of them that were loyal to him, even through his indictments, are going to have to say, wait a minute, now I can't deal with this underage girl. That could be my daughter. I think, again, I don't know if it's criminal, but just the association and the fact he was around it, I think is disturbing enough. Whatever it is, Miss Eunice, it's enough for him to want to hide it.
Yes, and you know, Reverend, one final thing. Is there no backup anywhere for these files? They're the only one that has it, because I just can't understand where page after page was blacking out. So evidently they're hiding something.
Right.
It just, any fool have more sense than that. And thank you for taking my call. And again, enjoy your family day, because I know you're always doing something for someone. And thank you.
Thank you, and God bless you.
And I love you dearly, Reverend.
Love you back. Thank you.
Sure.
All right. Let me go to Cooper in New Jersey. Cooper.
Reverend Al, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Reverend Al, I'm calling today because I think your listeners should hear this. FBI Director Kash Patel. You know, Republicans are always preaching fiscal responsibility. I don't know if you heard about this, Rev. FBI Director Kash Patel ordered the FBI to purchase him a small fleet of luxury armored BMW vehicles that's going to cost the taxpayers $1 million or more. And I was just wanted to run this by you, Rev, to wrap my head around this, because I'm like, how can they preach fiscal responsibility, and this is like a misuse of funds almost.
Well, I think that it is definitely a misuse. I have read this that they've accused Patel and backed it up with facts that he not only was one that had ordered these fleet of cars. He was using the private jets at the expense of the government to go to his girlfriend's concert. She's a country singer, and then go home. There's been several issues raised about him, and I think it is interesting that it is coming from the inside. The only ones that would know that is somebody in the FBI is leaking that. And I guess they're saying, wait a minute, we campaigned on one thing and now we're going to be this blatantly not dealing with the rules. So, yes, I'm very aware of that. And I think you made the correct point, Cooper. This is taxpayers' dollars. Now, if he was working for a private corporation or even a private charity or their political organization, and the political organization wanted to get him a private plane or wanted him to have a fleet of cars, that could be built into their budget. That's up to them. But this is taxpayer money. And that ain't what you told us we going to do with it.
Exactly, Rev. And icing on the cake, Rev, he is also looking into the current jet he's flying must not be good enough to purchase a new $150 million jet. So this is something, Rev, that the listeners need to hear. And, Rev, thank you for the call. Merry Christmas. God bless. I'm going to get up to Nan, Rev, soon to one of these Saturdays.
I need
and
you.
hear a great sermon at the House of Justice.
All right, I'm looking for you. Make sure you let me know you're in the house, Cooper. I'm going to look for you. Let me get ready to take my break, and we're coming right back after the break. I see a lot of calls, and I see a lot on the message board. Let's get it together and spend this holiday right. That's why I want you to tell me what's on your mind and tell me the constructive way you think people ought to celebrate Christmas and or Kwanzaa this week. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Joining James Brown, Muhammad Ali, and myself now from New York City is the Reverend Al Sharpton. And Mr. Brown, James, I'd like to ask you about this young man, how you came to meet him, and what the National Youth Movement, which he represents, is all about. Tell me something about that.
It's about teaching young kids the right way to go and the things to be involved in education. Don't be a dropout, which is one thing I'm very much behind. Unless kids have guidance, they have no place to go. And the idea is to try to mold them. I mean, we think of anything, we think of it as a baby. And what we mold them to be is what it will be later on. He used to stand at my back door, and he believed in what I said, the Don't Be a Dropout program, and the fact of helping kids and giving them the right idol and the right image to go with, cleaning, grooming, and wanting to work, wanting to be something. I started as a kid, a juvenile delinquent, and everything. Had no model. And I was able to be a model for a young man like this. And what he turned out to be, he's a minister, and he preaches the right thing, and I'm for him 1,000%. I'm for everything he's about.
Mr. Sharpton, how national right now is the National Youth Movement? Is it something new? Has it been going on for a while? Do you have a stated number of members? Tell me something about it.
Well, we don't really get into a numbers game because that's been a trick that has been played for the last 20 years. What we're basically interested in doing is saying to young people of impoverished backgrounds that there are people like a Muhammad Ali and a James Brown that represents hope to us. Because these people, despite all of the social odds, despite the unemployment statistics, despite the lack of education in their day, were able to grow and be something that we can be proud of. A man like me didn't have a father at home, but I had a James Brown to look up to and would want to sing and dance like him, or Muhammad Ali, who I saw stand up and give away millions of dollars of stamps to the government so that I would have a right to come 10 or 20 years later and try to fight for my kids. So what we're saying is there are symbols and images that kids can look up to and not have to throw a brick through a window, but that can work by the sweat of their brow and succeed just like these two gentlemen did.
But considering the numbers of young kids today, and Rev, there are hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of kids who really are in hopeless and desperate situations, is it enough to just offer them an example?
You say hopeless, though. Not hopeless.
Well, let's say, to them, 10, 11, 12-year-old kids,
it's never hopeless. There's no such thing as hopeless. It's never hopeless. When I got 8 to 16 years for breaking and entering as a kid, because I was hungry, and here I am today, it's not hopeless. Don't say hopeless. Then we're carving out. I don't believe in hopeless. Don't you think it's hope? If you believe in something, try. No such hopeless. I don't believe in hopeless. We're not going to go with that. And I think he's not about teaching them how to get out and fight for themselves. That's what it's about. No, it's not hopeless. Everybody has a cause and everything, but everybody want to live. And I think living is what we're about. We're not going to teach dying. Hopeless is dying.
I agree with you 100%, James. But what I'm trying to ask here is simply saying, you too can be a James Brown or a Muhammad Ali. Is that enough to give a kid who's hungry, who doesn't know where his next meal is coming?
I'll say it.
Give him somewhere to go.
I think it's awful weak to tell a kid, you can be a James Brown, one of the greatest entertainers in the world, and me, one of the greatest fighters. And like you said, the hundreds of thousands of millions of kids that need a break. You can't have that many great people, but they can get educated. They can go to school. They can learn. I'd like to say one thing. We have crime today. It's a big problem. I think they took a national vote on what the people want the government to spend most of the money on, and crime was over national defense. Worrying about Russia, China, outside enemies, they're worrying about inside crime. We have crime today, all type, prostitution, murder, exploitation, degradation, and wars of all kinds. And I'm gonna tell you why everything's happening. And I think if you're intelligent, you agree with it. If we were riding an airplane and the two pilots died for some reason, is there anybody in this room that can go in the cockpit, pick up the radio, start working it, bring the plane in, depressurize it as it land, and make it, and late at night on a stormy day? You couldn't do it.
Right.
Well, but if you learn how to fly, or if they show you how to fly, you can. Since God made the world and God made us, He sent the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, sent Moses, Jesus, Noah, to show us how to run the world. And God left His laws. If we don't follow His laws, then we crash.
Let me say this, though, Mr. Snyder, in response to your question to Mr. Brown, Mr. Ali. Yes, it is enough to begin with showing them an example, because before you get to education, you need motivation. If you don't have motivation to get out of the bed, you won't make school or the party. And what we try to do by showing a James Brown or Muhammad Ali is not that you can be a great champion maybe like Ali or a great entertainer like James Brown, but if you use the same initiative that they did to make him get up 5 in the morning and run 10 miles and just have a dream and to come back 3 times and accomplish that dream, to have more hits than anybody in the world, even when the music world wouldn't give him credit for it in terms of a James Brown. If you had that initiative to keep working at whatever it is that you're going to do, you can succeed. And what we're saying to them is you may not reach the plateau of public prominence of them, but if you can reach the personal discipline and personal motivation of them, you can reach a plateau in your life. Because it's not about looking for a government handout, it's about looking for a way out, as James Brown said.
All right, and then how receptive are the young people that you tell this to?
Very receptive.
Really?
Very receptive. Very receptive. I think that people have misunderstood that most people of impoverished and depressed areas are not looking for the government to give them something. They just want a chance. I remember when I was a little boy, James Brown used to sing, I don't want nobody to give me nothing, just open the door, I'll get it myself. Well, that's all people want now is a chance. Let me get a piece of the action. Let me get a piece of the pie. Let me stand up on my own.
All right. At one man should have the major corporations, the government, should get behind him and push the programs that he's about.
Except maybe if he does it himself and gets grassroots support, it's better than having the government stick their nose in, because they have a way sometimes.
We're not talking about control.
Yeah.
We're not talking about control. We're talking about a way of start. You know, they have to start. If they fund Chrysler and fund all these different other things, they can fund a small man to get started. Then the private sector will join in. But let them help too. It should be.
Last thing. Somewhere along the line here tonight, we used a graphic saying long, hot summer. Are you in any way, I'm certain you're not predicting a long, hot summer. You're not predicting urban strife. You're not predicting disorder, anything like that.
Well, what I'm saying is, you know, at home you have an oven. There are flames on top of the oven, and then there's heat in the oven. We always discuss whether there'll be a flame on the top, and don't discuss it. There's already 600 degrees inside. I'm not concerned as much about a long, hot summer because it's been a long, hot winter. Yeah. People are unemployed.
Okay.
People are unemployed. People are getting their homes ripped off. Parents' pocketbooks being snatched. As Ali said, crime is at a highest rate it's ever been. So rather than us running around the streets looking for a brick, we should be looking at the fact the brick is already in most people's houses. How do we get the brick out of the house? How do we cool the long oven out? Let's not wait for the explosion and then just cut the flames off upstairs. Let's put the flame out inside. And the only way to do that is everybody to get up and work by the sweat of their brow in America and try to produce, be productive like these two gentlemen have been in their life against all odds. They came up in a world that was alien to them, and they made it. And we can make it if we have the same initiative they did.
Mr. Sharpton, it's been a pleasure to have you here tonight, and I've enjoyed meeting you very much. Thank you for coming by, and thank you, James Brown, for being with us again. Thank you for being here tonight.
We have a young man in the studio who I think is an astounding young brother because of his youth. He's only 19 years old, and he's accomplished a lot, and he's here to make a presentation to James Brown, and we'd like to welcome him warmly. His name is Al Sharpton. How about it for Al Sharpton? Al is the national director of the National Youth Movement Incorporated. Right, Al?
That's right.
And what do we have here?
Well, we come to break tradition. We know that in the recording industry that they give a gold record to those that achieve a million seller. But we view your million seller payback as a black record because it is relevant and says many of the things that young blacks have tried to say and could not musically express in our own little way. And we feel the payback is sort of like the theme song of Young Black America in 1974. Yeah.
Now, before you go into the title tune of your latest album, you have a special guest.
Yeah, I do have a special guest, a young
that's
lady.
going to perform with you.
Yes.
That left the plantation set them free and were recaptured and re-enslaved because the laws said that. Without them signing the laws that we fought for, how should we have gotten free?
Sharpton keeps it real.
Because you're raising things that you haven't thought out. There were slave rebellions that did. All right, then give me the answer. You haven't answered me yet. If you thought it out, give me the answer.
Asking the tough questions.
Well, see, here's the thing. I call him made a statement. Now you...
No, but I'm questioning your statement. You can question mine. You can question any statement I make. You can question any statement. Whoa. You can question any statement I make, but you cannot call here and tell me don't question the statement you make, brother.
Brothers gonna work it out. Be a part of the conversation. Just keep it real. Live from the National Action Network corporate headquarters.
Yes, sir.
Rights leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
You're live, sir.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Twitter.com, The Rev Al, or go to the message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net and go to live stream. And I see Tanya Stovall on saying he tried to throw Clinton and any other Democrats under the bus and make the Epstein files show anything that they did on them. Trump can never be trusted in anything. Well, Tanya, they certainly is interesting. They dropped pictures of people that were guests of Epstein, Michael Jackson, Dinah Ross, Bill Clinton. And out of all of those trips and out of Epstein saying that Trump was his best friend, they miraculously didn't have a lot of Trump photos. And the one they put out, they grabbed back, saying they didn't want to hurt any of the accused or any of the victims, I should say. And if putting out that photo would have hurt one of the victims, then that must mean Trump at least met one of the victims. I mean, 1 + 1 is 2, no matter what school you go to. I believe we're being joined now by my co-host that kicks off our week every Monday for Hot Button Monday. He is, of course, Democratic strategist, founder and CEO of Blueprint Strategy, LLC, Antoine Seawright. How you doing, Antoine?
Merry Christmas week to you, Reverend Al.
Thank you, sir. Let me ask you, we getting a lot of media, including my shows, talking about the Epstein files and about Venezuela and about the state of the economy. And it's almost like, every day there's a new kind of indication, I'll put it that way, to the public of what kind of person they've elected as president. We're also seeing small but real Republicans starting to really question what's going on here. Marjorie Taylor Greene started it, but now you've got even other Republicans, Massey and others saying, give us, nobody knows Washington better than you that I know of. Give us your picture of what's the climate right now as we go into this holiday week in Washington. What is the real deal you're hearing and seeing there on the ground?
Well, Rev, political climate change is real. And we're starting to see the political climate change in Washington. So anybody who tells you they don't believe in climate change, all you have to do is rehearse what you just said about some Republicans, particularly those who find themselves being on the side of America First type of agenda and pro-patriotism and so forth. They find themselves breaking now because they're starting to realize that the climate is changing. Trump remains unpopular, perhaps unpopular as he ever has been before. And I think the difference between now and then was, Reverend Al, before you would find Trump being unpopular, but his policies being popular, or his policies being popular and him being unpopular, or vice versa. Well, now both are unpopular, both his policies, his agenda, as well as him, the politician. And so you're starting to see people scramble, ramble, and run away from him. I think you'll see more of that happen next year. You're probably going to see an uptick in Republican retirements from the U.S. Congress. And quite frankly, the more the president becomes weaker, the more and more he relies on racism, bigotry, and hate and division as a method of strength. And so when you talk about Venezuela, you talk about Epstein, some of that is distraction, but also some of that is him trying to throw mud at the wall to see what sticks, to figure out where he can find strength. And I think that's why you see what you see. But one very important point that you made, Reverend Al, and I think, we should add some muscle mass and muscle memory to it. It's not just Trump that's starting to frail. It's his cabinet as well. I mean, his cabinet literally is falling apart by the day in the eyes of the public. And the more that happens, the more you'll see pressure from congressional Republicans to either force them to resign privately behind the scenes or to haul them in from an accountability standpoint, because the Congress job is to provide oversight to the executive branch.
Yeah, I've not, in my memory, and I've been around a long time now, and I can, and as I search my memory, remember someone fall apart like Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, or they call him Secretary of War, Hegseth, and Bongino leaving the number 2 man in the FBI. I mean, all this at one time. Robert Kennedy at war with vaccines when we have a measles breakout down in South Carolina. I mean, you're right. The Homeland Security Secretary is under fire. This whole question of what they're doing. And I've not, in my memory, seen a whole cabinet lit up like this, and the president at the same time being questioned, and including his capacity. He made the speech in North Carolina on his way to Mar-a-Lago for the holiday. That made no sense. It was all over the place. And then they ran on social media him getting off of Air Force One, and apparently has to hold on to the rails like a 90-year-old man. And I couldn't help but say that, so you was talking about Joe Biden, look at you. I mean, it is really, really hard for some Republicans, I guess, to stay on board, because this looks like this ship is about to really sink.
Well, Rev, I think it's also very important for us to understand and know, in particular the mainstream media, is Trump is a mastermind in one sense. He wants to control the conversation, and he wants the conversation around him. So a lot of this is what I call political media manipulation, but also is to keep the conversation around him in the form of a distraction. And that's why we've got to pick and choose our battle, those of us who maybe fall on the Democratic side, but also those of us who side on the side of good government. We've got to pick our battles and choose wisely what we engage in terms of the conversation and the narrative in the media, because usually the thing he wants us to talk about is a big distraction from the thing we need to be talking about. That's why that Susan Wild interview released. The timing was awkward and weird, but strategic for them, because they wanted us talking about that instead of the affordability crisis that America is facing. All this other stuff he's doing, the Venezuela boats and all that stuff, while it's important, yes, and the rule of law needs to overlay, but fact of the matter is 25 million Americans are going to see their premiums increase by the end of the year because this president does not want to do anything. And so we've got to hold the line of fire and hold the line of messaging to the things that's really going to give us results from an electoral standpoint.
Absolutely right. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to New Orleans to Don. Don, you're keeping it real with Sharpton and C-Ray.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And I want to send my condolences to Brother Antoine C-Ray on the passing transition of his father. And
Thank you, sir.
I just appreciate what you do for America and for the world. Without sanctuary, it's the lynchings in America from 1870s to the 1960s. Brother James Adams, photographer, Brother John Littlefield, photographer. About 100 photos and pictures of lynchings in America. You know, the people dressed in their Sunday's best, and if you look at the picture, you say, "Oh, these people are having a good time," but you'll see the victim of lynching.
Oh no, they were in their Sunday best, because some of them would go to church and then go down to the town square with their lunch buckets, like they were having a picnic to watch us be lynched. After they went to church.
Picnic come from.
After they went to church.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
And also, you had, moving on in a more positive way in a sense, but you had the Ebony and Jet photographers, Monetti Sleet Jr., who won a Pulitzer Prize. And you had Ike Sutton, you had James Van Der Zee, and you also had Gordon Parks, but he was with another magazine, I think Life or Time. Legendary photographers, you know, and you talk about National Geographic, the photographs, and it always had who was the photographer, you know, and Jet and Ebony had like 1 million photos, and so, but with this Epstein files, who was the photographer? These people seem to be in, I don't know, the victims are redacted. But I'm trying to understand they said that a partial release of the photos of 95,000 is less than 10%. I mean, evidently somebody was documenting these activities over a long period of time. And the victims have some type of recourse, if you will, because I'm just trying to ask the question, how can you get this many these many photos and images, and yet we still have we hear and we horn about what was taking place, and you have actual victims who are still alive and still around, testifying and even coming out. I'm just trying to juxtapose that question to you all.
Antoine?
Well, there are a lot of things we don't know and a lot of things we won't know. And that's what the conversation of recent is all about. The Trump Justice Department, as corrupt as it is going to strategically let us know what they want us to know, and what they don't want us to know or don't want us to see, they're not going to let that happen. And so I can't tell you who the photographers were. I can't tell you what business people was doing at the island and all that stuff. What I do know is the Republicans campaigned on releasing those files, not redacted, but they campaigned on releasing those files. Here we are, and now they don't want to live up to their promise.
No, they said they were. Wait, Don. Let me take a break. Let's take a break, and we'll be right back after the break. Keeping it real, Hot Button Monday, Sharpton, C-Right. Be right back. Some people report the news, others interpret it.
but there are those who transform it into truth. Ari Melba has redefined journalism with intellect, creativity, and courage. He blends culture and current events, politics and poetry, truth and transparency. And in doing so, he reminds us that storytelling is a sacred work. Ari understands that our narratives shape our nation, and he has used his platform to highlight issues that matter to the people, not just to the powerful. Tonight, we honor him for bridging art and activism, for using his voice to educate, inspire, and empower. Join me, please, in celebrating Ari Melba, recipient of the President's Award of Historic Transformative Leadership.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. How are you guys doing? First of all, Babyface is 67 years old. We might need a fact check on that. What an honor to be up here with Rev and everyone else. When Rev started out, they said, he's just doing this to get on TV. Now he has a TV show. He kept along and they said, well, he's just setting himself up to run for office, be a politician. Now he has the politicians coming here to be accountable to you. We're celebrating his 71st birthday, God bless. I don't think he's planning to run for office in his late 70s or 80s, although people do that nowadays. I don't know if you've heard. So as far as I can tell, maybe he was doing it for the people. Maybe he was doing it for voting rights and human rights and being an advocate for people in communities where when bad things do happen, they don't have a local advocate or a federal advocate, or suddenly it doesn't feel like they have anyone who cares about what's happening to them. So it's funny, in the middle you can't always prove the case, but by this stage in his illustrious contributions to the United States, he's doing it for everyone. So shout out to Rev. I'm really honored to get this award. My grandmother was a refugee. My father's an immigrant. Like a lot of other people that I get to interact with, I'm very aware that my worst days are better than some of their best days. And so I keep that in mind, and I know Rev does and a lot of other people do. This award was called Leadership in the Arts. I'm honored by it. I love the arts. I won't say whether I've ascended to being a leader in the arts, but I will share with you the leaders I learned from. I learned civil rights from Sam Cooke. I learned about colonialism from Bob Marley. I learned about activism from Gil Scott-Heron. He said the revolution will not be televised. We're working on that. Rev and I are working on that. I learned about the media from KRS-One. I learned about politics from Public Enemy. I learned about police brutality from Tupac and about feminism from Lauryn Hill. So when I was growing up, I did okay in school, but I was quickly learning as a teenager there was all of these parts that weren't in the official story, but they were true. So yes, we try to reflect some of that in our reporting. In times like this right now in America, art and free speech are under attack. It's not just the historians, bless them. It's not just the normal newspaper reporters, bless them. It's also the comedians, from Kimmel to D.L. Hughley. It's also the artists. We've seen the crackdowns on people who sing or share their thoughts through other forms of expression. And so, in a moment like this, as we've seen in, unfortunately, other countries around the world, it feels like just telling the truth becomes a radical act. That's a bad sign for the health of your democracy. But the truth can help redeem our democracy. So I'll end with a bar. Is that all right? Should we do one bar? From New York's own Jay-Z, Sean Carter, Hove. He's talking about people that might not be truthful with you, that might not keep it a buck. And he said they're all actors, looking at themselves in the mirror backwards. Can't even face themselves, don't fear no rappers. They're all weirdos, De Niro's in practice. So don't believe everything your earlobe captures. It's mostly backwards. Unless it happens to be as accurate as me. And everything said in song you happen to see. Then actually believe half of what you see. None of what you hear, even if it's spat by me. So we will keep spitting facts with the humble confidence of Sean Carter on our best day. And you can keep making up your own mind, because we gonna be all right. Thank you. Thank you.
The fact of the matter is, Rosa Parks was not only the mother of the modern civil rights movement, she was the mother of this nation. Why would you say that, Sharpton? Because you called George Washington the father of the nation, but when he became father, we wasn't included in the nation. Women were not included in the nation. The first time we had a parent in this nation is when all of us was included, and Rosa Parks did that on December 1st, 1955. I heard somebody say Jim Crow is who she fought, and Jim Crow is still around. But Jim Crow is old. That's not who I'm mindful of today. The problem is Jim Crow has sons. The one we got to battle is James Crow Jr. Esquire. He's a little more educated. He's a little slicker. He's a little more polished. But the results are the same. He doesn't put you in the back of the bus. He just puts referendums on the ballot to end affirmative action when you can't go to school. He doesn't call you a racial name. He just marginalizes your existence. He doesn't tell you that he's set against you. He sets up institutional racism, where you have a nation respond looking for weapons in Iraq that are not there, but can't see a hurricane in Louisiana that is there. James Crow Jr. Esquire. That's who we got to fight. And if we are to win, if we are to really memorialize Rosa Parks, she would tell us to do in the generation of his son what she and Dr. King did to his daddy. They didn't talk a fight, they fought the fight. They didn't show up at funerals, they showed up on the picket line and the march line and the jailhouse. It amazes me that we sit there acting like we don't have work to do. And that many of us in our own community are mocking her memory. They formed a movement when they had none of what we got. You realize that Dr. King and Dr. Abernathy and them formed a boycott after Rosa Parks, where people stayed off the bus for a year, went to rallies every night, and they never had email.
Antoine Seawright is our co-host as he kicks off another week with us. Don't forget, Saturdays and Sundays, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now, formerly known as MSNBC. And this past week, we had two great shows. Congresswoman
Ayanna Presley lit the airways up talking about Epstein files, but also talking about the unemployment inequality, how blacks almost doubly unemployed to whites, black women at 7.1%. We had Ayanna on. We had Congressman Amo from Rhode Island. Had the first interview the new mayor of Miami made since she, the first interview she did, I should say, since she won. First Democrat in almost 30 years to win, to be in mayor of Miami, and the first woman in the history of Miami. You never know who I'm going to have on the Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. Harlem Globetrotters was on last night. The lead there showed me how to spin the ball, matter of fact. My grandson was in the studio with me. I showed him that, and they're on their 100th year anniversary. So watch Politics Nation every Saturday and Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. This Saturday I'm lining up a lot of guests, but Sunday night is the Revies Awards, and 5 o'clock you will see the Revy Awards, and one of the panelists this year is Antoine Seawright. So make sure you watch the Revies as we give out the awards for the political good and the bad of the closing year. In this case, it would be 2025. And then you that want to help feed elders, feed the homeless, or maybe you just need to be part of a family situation for whatever reason you're not with your family. We at the House of Justice, 145th and Lenox, all day Thursday, all day Christmas. I spend right there at the House of Justice. Me and my family, we have our Christmas dinner right there at the House of Justice. We serve, the elected officials come and serve. Many of you that want to serve, you can go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can go on live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can call 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651. Say, I want to be a volunteer. I can do an hour. I can do 2 hours. Put my name down. We need as many as we can get. Let's go back to Don in New Orleans. Don?
Reverend Al?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. You know, Reverend Al, I'm thinking about, when I mentioned the photos, you think about Emmett Till. His mother made the decision to have an open casket, which helped spark the civil rights movement of the 60s. Okay? You talk about when Malcolm X was photographed in a glass casket, see-through casket, after his assassination. You talk about when Coretta Scott King was in her widow garb after the assassination of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I also think about Sam Cooke. When they say Sam Cooke was shot by the hotel manager, and you see with the photo of, even with the great legendary singer Etta James, witness Sam Cooke in the casket saying that his nose was crushed, his hands was crushed, his nose was mangled, and his head was like it was coming off his shoulders. But they say he was shot by some woman, the hotel manager. And they also say a photo is worth 1,000 words. But Watergate was behind tapes. The security guard, Frank Wills, discovered the break-in. But the tapes, these are talking about tapes that can be edited. But now you have photos. And we're still struggling as a society with some of these wrongdoings. You talk about the video of Rodney King beatings and the lynching of George Floyd. But yet, don't believe your lying eyes. Is America that dumb?
Yeah, but Don, I don't even think it's about don't believe your lying eyes. They're not showing us everything. The one photo they put up, they took down. So I understand your point, and you're correct to go through the history of where photos grabbed the world attention and brought home the message of pain, the message of injustice and all. But we have not got the photos. The issue here is not that we are ignoring photos, is that we are not seeing them, even though it has been stated by Congress that they must turn them over by midnight, night before last, and they didn't. They handed over some of the files, some of the photos. I think it was 10% of what the files are, some of the photos, and came back and took back one of the photos that they put up there. So I understand your history of photos, but they don't apply here. They have not released the photos. That's the issue. Thank you for your call.
So that's a violation of amendment
Antoine, I think that people don't understand how blatantly this administration has thrown rules to the wind. You get a congressional order that you've got to comply with that they don't comply with. You've got Patel ordering a fleet of luxury cars after they had just come out in the press about his private plane rides to his girlfriend's concert, all the government expense. It's almost like they are feeling like the rules don't apply to them, Antoine.
Well, Rev, it's the guardrails have come off, and there's no such thing as precedent or previous precedent, and there's no such thing as rule of law in their eyes. And every step along the way, unlike his first term, this president and this administration is testing not only the rule of law, but they're testing to see what they can get away with so they can set precedent for the future. That's why it's so important for us to win next year, because the legislative branch, by way of the Constitution, is supposed to provide oversight to the executive branch. But we have no oversight. We have no accountability. We have none of that because they control everything. And when I say they, meaning the MAGA movement is controlling how we move forward as a country. And that's dangerous because now the guardrails have been taken off place when you think about what this right-wing activist Supreme Court has done and how they've just pressed the ignore and snore button when it comes to rule of law.
Absolutely. Let's go to Yessie in Atlanta, Georgia. Yessie. I don't hear Yessie.
You hear me?
I hear you now, yes.
Yes, can you hear me, brother?
I hear you now, yes.
Hello? All right, beloved, glad you're doing well. In a nutshell, I hear all the angles and all the things that we're supposed to be paying attention to now. But one of your callers kind of hit on it. These are kind of smoke screens. These are things that they put out there to keep us from paying attention to the position we're in, hoping for something sane to come from our captors. And no matter how we look at this, Reverend Al, you can look at this as they stole us from Africa and we've been here with them all this time and nothing's changed. Or you can look at this as this is our land. They came and they killed off most of our chiefs and our shamans and utilized paperwork to manipulate this land away from us while they stripped it of its wealth. Either way you look at it, we're suffering from the Stockholm Syndrome as melanated people on the continent of North America. We have a United Nations that has none of us in it, period. There's no one from us who are the melanated people of America at the United Nations. We have a government that has literally written down certain parameters for melanated people and how they recognize economically what's happening with their occupation of another land. And that people is not a people, it's an organization called the United States of America. And whatever subsidiaries go with that organization. Our Stockholm Syndrome is they're going to treat us fairly. They're not that bad. You know, they took us out of teepees. There's something about what they've done to us in terms of education that disallows us from using our energy to have our own United Nations and speak to their United Nations about the theft that's taking place against the copper-colored people of this land.
Hold 1 minute. Let me let you finish after the break, because I want to respond and have Antoine respond. Let's take the break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, see right. Be right back.
Hello, New Orleans. Let me tell you straight. They did not think we could come and be here tonight. They cut budgets and advertising, but one black man, Rich Newton, said, I don't care. My families come together every 4th of July weekend, and Essence will happen, because that's who we are. Give a big hand to Rich New Dennis for bringing us back. Why do we come? Because the essence of who we are is essential to what made this nation. We built this nation. We made this nation. We created the essential dollars that this nation lives off of. We don't care what bill they pass. We will not back up. We will not back down. We will not give in. We will not be chased out. We don't care who's in the White House. We will organize our house by house. We came over the Middle Passage. We survived slavery. We survived Jim Crow. Don't you give up now. Don't you turn back now. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. Reclaim your dignity. Reclaim your place. So we stand with the Global Black Economic Forum. We stand with Essence Magazine, because that's who we are. So don't give in now. Yes, there's some rough days, but we've been through rougher days than this. Yes, Trump is a bad dude, but we beat badder dudes than Trump. So let's party with a purpose, because our rhythm and our music reminds us who we are, because we can smile through our pain and organize for our gain. Let's stand up and let's celebrate who we are. Thank you, God bless you.
And I think that is extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes blacks. We want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight in the courts and the streets, because they are literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions
This whole fight around DEI, which they did, started in Harvard with a black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, it ain't some people would have been together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation. Then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in this stuff.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, "The two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born." I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They called me everything but a child of God.
Racial discord, a blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Right?
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are, and whatever you may not be real.
I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton.
Don't live.
Antoine Seawright is our co-host. It's Hot Button Monday. Whatever's on your mind, whatever's in your heart, plenty going on. You need to express yourself. Let me go back to Yessie. Yessie, my position is that, and I heard you give two options, that either we were here and the land was stolen from us or we were brought here. My position is, no matter what we believe, how we got here and the circumstances about being here, we're here now. And my challenge is, what are we going to do that we can feasibly and will collectively do about our being here? Because one of the things that I've always been wary of is that we have the paralysis of analysis. We have great, I come up in New York, we have great street corner philosophers that can analyze the wood on the Mayflower, but they didn't do nothing. They did, if they said we want to go back to Africa, there was no plan. They say we need to have people in power, they would not vote. So just sounding smart and acting dumb is incomplete.
Doc, Rev, you just said something that's important. A couple of things that are very important. One, just going back to Africa, they didn't want to go. And maybe that spirit of wanting to go back to Africa wasn't taught to them by their grandparents or their great-grandparents because of something they heard.
Right.
However, the other thing was they didn't vote. Again, I want to remind us, we're able to have our own government. Our own government. If I were to make an action right now, I would hide you from them. And I would only allow that the scholarship which is willing to be on Melanated's team right now, because I don't want to get into a bickering match over Republican or Democrat, because our oppressor is divided, and that's the part of the division. And additionally, we're not looking at the leadership. We have to be realistic. These are puppets. This is an ex-television show host, and the people he chose to give us a show while other things are going on at a level that our leadership needs to be in charge of now. Not asking the United Nations. We need to get into our neighborhoods and reclaim our children away from their public schools because they don't want to educate them or elevate them.
All right. Thank you for your call. Again, thank you for your call. Again, my thing, Antoine, is that whatever we can analyze, whether the people that are functioning in government are puppets or not, every day our people are living under those circumstances. How do we deal with that? And how do we rectify that? And the fact is that we can have all the analysis we want. Trump and the folk in his administration, whether they're working for some hidden hand or not, are having us on the verge of 23 million people losing their health insurance. That's somebody that could die, some bodies that could die. Whether we like it or not, they are incarcerating people and throwing away the key. So what I'm saying is that I agree we need to have an analysis, but we need to have an action agenda with an analysis. That's why when people talk to me about changing policies or stopping first, we went out there and stopped it. Or dealing with police brutality, or dealing with voting rights, or dealing with economic inequality. I am not one that thinks that it is enough to be smart if you're not active.
Well, Rev, I think John Lewis told us a different way. He just said, keep our eyes on the prize. And the prize for us is to make certain that we have the basic fundamental rights and opportunities and options as other folks. And if you do a analysis today, for those who are in the analyzing business, you would know that the battles we fought yesterday and the days before are now the battles we have to fight today and the days ahead. And so what that should tell us, we can't take our eyes off the prize. We certainly cannot think that it's time to rest on the battlefield. And so we can do all the observation and analyzing all we want, but the bottom line is, if we don't stay focused on winning elections, and if we don't elect people that represent our shared values and want to support, we're going to continue to fight the battles that our parents and great-grandparents fought, quite frankly, and our children and grandchildren will be worse off than our parents and great-grandparents.
And as I said, I grew up here in New York City, and you couldn't have better street corner philosophers and lecturers than you had in Harlem and in Bed-Stuy when I was growing up. But the problem is we would all get energized and then do nothing but come to the next meeting and not ever address the problems and dealing with the people that were in charge or that had power. So I'm not saying you need one or the other. I'm saying you need both. You need an analysis. I said the other morning, I do my morning thoughts on social media, that if you have an analysis without action, then you mean nothing. And if you have action without an analysis, you don't know what you're doing. We need both. And I think that the challenge that we have, no matter what school of thought we come out of, is that people have the right to ask you, okay, if that's what you believe, then tell me how are you about getting that done? And I think that is the challenge. Let's go to Demetrius in Cleveland, Ohio, WERE. Demetrius.
Yeah, thank you, Rev. Sharpton. Yeah, I just want to speak on a few subjects quickly. They had a protest this weekend. I believe it was the Atmosphere Research Center, because the Trump administration wants to shut down the center. But that center is important because it monitors global warming, how pollution affects the environment. So I believe it's important that people be aware of that, because a lot of top scientists who know the field and know the dangers of how the environment can affect, the growing of crop, the spread of disease when the atmosphere change could be one of the reasons why it's a high rate of influenza going around the country and the measles. Also, that contribute, to the rhetoric that Robert Kennedy Jr. is putting on and Donald Trump about not taking vaccines as well. So that's one topic I want to bring up. And also, when it comes to, some people want to go to rallies like Nicki Minaj and some other ones. I find it difficult to understand how they want to bag someone, who want to take away the rights of the fans who supported them in their music career. They want to take away education or take away training programs. They want to imprison people, unjustly, due to the criminal justice system. And for these people to support, administration like that, they turn their back on their fans and they looking out for their self-interest and just following a false narrative that's been put out that they're going to be protected no matter what they do. But they got to look at where they are in the music industry or any other industry. It's on the back of those who struggled before. African Americans, NAACP, the Civil Rights Movement, Black Power Movement, the mother and fathers who work on different jobs, and even people in other organizations that are oppositionists and some other liberals, because this administration is one of a kind. Like I say, when he want to shut down the Job Corps, Job Corps was kept open by Richard Nixon, by Ronald Reagan. No other Republican shut down the Job Corps, because they might have different views, but they still said, well, we're going to leave this program open, so you might not want to have public funds, but we're going to leave it open because people can get job training, and that's the basic of some of the Republican philosophy is self-help. This administration want to shut down the Job Corps or any type of organization that can uplift people and give them the opportunity to have economic mobility in society. It seems like this administration is based on just keeping a certain class of people in power. They want anyone else to move up, especially when it comes to African Americans. You don't want them to know about their history. So they want to know what happened to them. So whatever work they put out there, they'll go along with this administration without knowing, that this administration is backing the belief that kept people down in this country for years, kept Native Americans down in years, even going to what's happening in Venezuela. To invade Venezuela, it's a slap in the face of the people in Latin Americans, are also the Hispanics, because South America has been exploited for years, by the United States, by Spain, by England, and to go there thinking they're going to have sympathy with the United States is a false narrative. And to go there would be almost like going to Vietnam. So the people, they have a strong memory, how they lost thousands of lives, working on a plantation in South America, both African Americans and the Native Americans. So to go there thinking just by force and just putting public regimes in power, it's not going to fool the people who live.
If you put in public regimes in power, okay.
Yeah, public regimes, just to back him up, but they're going to just take the money away from the people, and just have their own little kingdom feature and give all the money to the big corporations from other countries.
Yeah, well, that's the plan. The question is, that's the plan. The question, as I've been saying all day, what we going to do about it? I thank you for your call. Let's take a break. We're taking more of your calls and you on the message board right after this break. Keeping it real. Sharpton, see right. Be right back.
33-year-old preacher without a church.
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me, and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They called me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing. And I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that called me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old. With the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
sounds so good. That was beautiful. Thank you, everyone. I am humbled and grateful to be here with you tonight. I love you too. I love you too. It seems like I've known Reverend Al Sharpton all my life. My mom was such a fan of his, and I've seen him through my life in LA at MCA Records. When I was there, he'd come through, you know, and get those people straight about our contracts and talk about that. And I haven't been honored a lot. Maybe this is my second time, and I'm 68 years old. And I've been in this business my entire life. I've never done what you would call a real job. But I am truly honored, and I'm thankful, and I love us. I love my black people. And I fight for us, and I want the women, the black women, to really know their worth. Know that they're queens. That's important to me. That's how my mother raised me. My mother was militant, I guess, when it wasn't trendy, yes. Because when I was a little girl, my mother and father would drive in Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, do or die. And when she would see police officers handling black children or a black boy or a girl, she would have my father stop and say, she'd get out of the car and she'd say, "What's going on here? Wait a minute, what you doing?" All the time. So it's natural that I'm that way, because I'm so tired of seeing our black men beaten with handcuffs. They have handcuffs on. That's important to me. That's my fight. I want love in this world. We're living in some, I love you, I love you. I never knew love like this before. I can't sing because we just finished doing 3 shows back to back. And I flew in this morning, and because Reverend Al wanted me to sing home. There's no way I could sing home, but okay. When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. I wish I was home. I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. When that makes us tall grass bend into leaning, suddenly the raindrops that fall have a meaning. Sprinkling the sea makes it all clean. But thank you. Thank you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I love you. I love you with my life.
Stephanie Mills.
Reverend Al Sharpton.
You're live.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Antoine Seawright is our co-host. Antoine, I think that with all that is going on in terms of government, first thing I think that people need to have a reality check, and that is that whether we consider ourselves in or out, they're going to proceed anyway. We can drop out and talk about, some phantom dreams. They're going to cut health care. They're going to try to invade Venezuela. They're going to try and deport non-white people unless we have an active agenda to stop it. And I think that some of us act like
if we get angry and stay home and cuss at the TV and I'm not in that, that's going to stop something. You are in it. If the energy plants up their rates, your lights go up or they get cut off. You're in it right there where you sit and complain. And I think that sometimes we need a cold reality check that we can and should dream, but also dream from a standpoint of this is a dream that we want to get achieved. But the reality is what it is, and we've got to deal with that. And I think that in lies the issue. Antoine?
Well, there are 2 points that I would probably follow up to your semantic selection, if you will. First point is we've got to sustain the dream. And if you think about when the Voting Rights Act was signed in 1965, nobody in their right mind other than them thought that we would be in this posture today that the voting rights would be gutted the way it is. You think about diversity, equity, inclusion. You just think about all the progress we made through the years. Roe v. Wade. You pick the issue and you think about the progress we made then when we made progress. Nobody would have been having these discussions. And so, yes, we can dream, but we've got to sustain the dream. The dream will go away and turn into a nightmare. I think that's so important. The second point to your semantic selection as a follow-up that I would tell you and tell our listeners is simply this. You can't be healthy weight unless you have some sort of showing up at the gym or some sort of physical activity. And those of us in politics, showing up for physical activity is about every single chance we get.
Right.
We can't just go to the gym one time and think that our health issues are going to go away or think we're going to get this massive transformational body. We've got to keep showing up every single chance we get in order to maintain and sustain the progress we made on our bodies. And if you consider our bodies, our community, we've got to keep showing up to the political gym, i.e. the ballot box, to sustain and maintain what we have. Otherwise, it'll go away and turn into fat.
Absolutely right. Very well said. Let me say on the message board, Martise writes back again, NAN, National Action Network Greater Memphis Action Plan is to call the senators in Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas, and demand ACA tax extension. That's action. I love that. As we approach MLK's birthday, this is our moment to move from the streets to the Senate. Absolutely right. I love already the great new chapter. We need action plan. Emails, call-ins, rallies, marches, and voting. Everybody ought to be doing something. And I think, I have some business guys and preachers I socialize with when I can from time to time. And they are great at oratory and go home and do nothing. Let's go back to the phones, 1-877-532-5797. Let's go to the sage from the South, Brother Jihad. Brother Jihad in Atlanta. How you doing, Brother Jihad?
I'm doing great. How you all doing?
Doing well.
Good. Hope you have a good holiday.
Thank you.
Bro, now let me support both of your statements, and then I want to talk about the concept of distractions in this arena. I listened to a video on YouTube the other day, and a white guy asked a question. He said, "What happened to the children of the slaveholders?" And then he said, "What happened to the children?" I think a brother earlier mentioned the people that came from church and watched the lynching.
Right.
And he talked about the young kids that were there. What happened? We need to ask the question, what happened to them? And then we also need to ask the question, what happened to the segregationist children?
Right.
And I'm pointing all of this out to say that, and Brother Seawright is correct, this is, and you mention it often, this is an ongoing battle. This is an ongoing battle because of the condition and the situation that we're in. Because the children, a percentage of them met this weekend at Turning Point in Phoenix, and they had an agenda. And the agenda was to push the 2025 projects to its fullest extent until the president's son said that he doesn't think that diversity is good.
That's right.
So we have to come to the reality that we have to fight and protect our situation, be honest with you, Rev, forever, as long as these people walk the face of the earth. And it's not, for those who say, well, why we got to do that? Study history. This is life.
Right.
This is life's experience on earth. The heaven that you're looking for does not exist on this earth plane. You know what I mean? You have the diversity of people, diversity of agendas, diversity of purposes, and some of them conflict with other people, and this has been the history of the planet Earth. So we have to come to the reality that that's how it is. And if we don't come to that reality, before the brother finished talking to you a minute ago, he had done expanded your challenge to the schools. Then he was going to expand it to the neighborhood. Then he was going to expand it every time you can. He's just going to expand it, and never get a solution.
Right.
You know, never get an answer. You know what I mean? And let me say about distractions, I don't think that these are distractions. I think that these are agendas, all of them. You know what I mean? And I think that the 2025 project was not one page. It was a bunch of pages.
Right.
The 2026 project is not one page. It's a bunch of, I think that we have to also accept the fact that these are human beings with bad agendas on our bad intentions for us. And all of them, they don't just, throw one in, throw one out. All of them, all of those agendas, or all of those things we're calling distractions are part of their agenda. And they clearly understand that as long as that's why they fought so hard to control the media. And we got an example of that this weekend with 60 Minutes. They controlled the message. So we have to now develop another method of getting these concepts and messages out to our people, because they're saying that they're not going to put this message out. I think Antoine said earlier that they, I think you said it also, Rev, that they figured out how far they can go. They've done things to see how we respond, and based upon our response, they know how far they can go.
Right.
And so far, our response has not been adequate enough to stop them. If we come out and we get this election next year and change the House, that's a response that's adequate enough to stop them or to put them in check. You know what I mean? So, I keep hearing the concept distractions, but I see that these are overall agendas that they have. And as far as Venezuela, right now, Rev, as far as Venezuela is concerned, I think they have met to divide the world up again. And if you notice, Trump said that Greenland is back on the agenda, which means that if I can kill innocent people in the Caribbean and the populace don't respond, then I can go take over Greenland like I wanted to do 6 months ago or a year ago. Mm-hmm. We're in a real tight spot. Thanks, Rev.
All right. Thank you for your call and your wisdom. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. See right. Be right back.
Things past hope. Because, I grew up, like I said, single mama on welfare. And my mother told me there's a part in life that hope's going to run out. But she told me you got a double barrel in your engine. I said, what is that? She said, you can switch from hope to faith. Faith is a little deeper than hope. Bishop Hilliard is here. Faith is when hope runs out. Faith is the substance of things. Hope for the evidence of things not seen. Faith is when we were emancipated after 246 years of slavery and walked off the plantations with no education, no money, no future. And we built black churches and black colleges and black fraternities. We had faith. Faith made to stand up to the most powerful nation in the world and turn it around. Faith means we went from the back of the bus to the front of the White House. We come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord, trusting in His holy word. He never failed us yet.
Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president. But we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're going to have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm going to keep marching. I'm going to keep agitating. And I'm going to keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time. Mariah, Chris, and your kids. And I promise you this. The only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again.
Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement.
Rev, you know, you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that
Yep.
was going on in Brooklyn at
Yep.
that time, at
Yep.
Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the head on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. We went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK.
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York. Over 20 years. I'm just glad to be here with Rev today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
It's Erica Ford, the Peace Doctor in the building. Here at the National Action Network, it's about thanks, it's about giving, it's about gratitude, it's about love. I feel it is important for you to understand that there's work out here to be done, but it starts with gratitude, it starts with giving, it starts with peace, it starts with love. Let's go.
Before we feed our family, we got to make sure that we feed the community. That's right. That's what it's all about. We have to come with Sharpton phones. You come and you make sure you show up, serve the community. That's what it's all about.
London, yeah. We've got many problems there. We need you over our side. Yeah, you're invited anytime, please. Whenever you want to come.
There we go.
Dice! What's up, Doc?
You're live, sir.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, keeping it real. Reverend Al Sharpton, Antoine Seawright is rolling with us as we kick off another week, and I appreciate it. Let me go to James Thomas on the message board. He wrote, James Thomas wrote, "It's just like 2024 all over again. Black folk playing around like it's not going to affect them. They better wake up." I absolutely, that's what I'm trying to say. You know, Antoine, James got my spirit. I remember it was many years ago. I was coming into New York from a late flight, I should say, trying to get off the plane, get home. Landed in Newark Airport, and me and my team running through the airport. Might have been almost midnight, not that many people there. And I remember a lady was walking on the opposite side of the corridor we were on, and she yelled over, "Reverend Al." I said, "How you doing?" She said, "Good luck in your struggle." And I stopped Antoine and yelled back to her. I said, "Well, let me ask you something. when did they free you and keep me? What do you mean, my struggle? And I think that a lot of us act like if we're not involved, if we're not out there on the front line, that it ain't gonna affect us. That is exactly who we on the front line for. You. This is your struggle. The question is whether you're gonna fight in the struggle. But it's your struggle. When we see what they're doing in the Congress, in the White House, in the Justice Department, it's your struggle. And the question is whether we're going to do something about it or whether we're going to sit back and act like we watching a movie that somebody else is starring in. Antoine.
The Baptist boys and girls say, you preaching real good now because you're preaching the truth. And what I would tell you, Rev, all we have to do is just take a look back at retrospect in 1 year. Just think about what a difference, not even a year, what a difference 11 months will make. When Joe Biden left office, we had the lowest unemployment, black unemployment on record. We closed the race and wealth gap for the first time in 20 years. More black Americans working in government than ever before. More African American women appointed to the court than all other presidents combined, including a black woman on the Supreme Court. You had more black businesses started than ever before. More black home owners than ever before. First-time homeowners. I mean, the list goes on. More black Americans with health insurance than ever before. And look at what we have now, Reverend Al. All those things that were once trending in the right direction on full steam backwards in a matter of 11 months. So when people said during the last election, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris didn't do nothing for me, or the Democratic Party ain't do nothing for me, I asked them where they at now. Or when people say, well, my vote don't matter, I'm asking those people now why they cut billions of dollars from Medicaid and SNAP benefits and all these other things. 1.2 million jobs lost, 700,000 people not working this year that was working last year, this time, highest youth unemployment rate we've had record in my history. Think about that, Rev, and think about some of the conversations you and I had and some of the folks we listened to during the last election cycle.
That's exactly right. Let's go back to the phone. Let me go to my main man in Detroit, Michigan. Labor leader, labor activist extraordinaire, Brother Percy. Brother Percy.
How you doing right now?
I'm all right. How you doing?
Pretty good. You can hear me pretty good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. I got my headset on. I'm in the passenger seat down here in Atlanta with my daughter. But I've been listening to you, but my time and the way I'm working now or where I'm at now is right around the same time that your program is on, but I'm able to listen to you. But I'm listening also on the strategy of what our focuses need to be on. For me, Donald Trump is truly a diversion for the majority Congress that's in power right now, using him as a way to have us focusing on not what they're doing that's hurting us. And when we go into 2026, we distinctly need to have a distinct strategy of removing them out of majority control, because it's obvious of the policies that they're going to put in place will hurt, and it won't give us a return of our investment that we spend for the system, that money that we put into the system that we should be getting a return on. So I got a chance to see Sean Fang 2 days ago, and I was able to get in his ear of really pointing out the UAW distinctly has a list of issues that they always ask for their union members to be aware of and make sure that the candidates are voting on the issues that will protect our human rights, civil rights, labor rights, and benefits that we ask for as an auto worker. So they have a scorecard, and that is the kind of things that we have to put in play of seriously looking at what issues that you expect to get a return on the people who are in these positions in the capitals that bring back, they vote on stuff that's going to help us or harm us, and they go by the scorecard and vote for individuals who are going to give us a good score in 80-90% of supporting of the issues of what we want. Now, and I'm encouraging him to make sure that we put that information out to our members so they can really see the scorecard of why we endorse and why we support certain candidates, because the candidates that we push our members to endorse are the ones who are supporting our issues and not supporting the candidates that are not supporting our issues. So on that note, I'm with another union that now we're focusing on in 2026 of really putting a list of policies that we want in a contract that they're going to be asking for the type of work that they are doing, that the funding that will support their contract comes from the people that are in our state capital to put into the budget for the health department so they can have a strong contract. So the plan that we're going into in 2026 is we're going to have a list of the distinct issues that we want in our contract, and it's going to be at least a good 10 or so issues. And we'll be approaching the elected officials in our capital of seeing who will support these issues and who won't. So come March, if they not, and we're going to give them a pledge card to make sure that they will support these issues. And if they don't support these issues, 2026 in November, we'll be looking for the candidates that will support the issues and putting out the ones who are not going to support the issues. And we must stay centered on keeping our eye on the prize and making sure that we make our government system work for us, seeing how we invest in the government. Every time we spend a dollar, every time we spend money, that's the money that runs our system. And all we asking for is a return in what we invested in, and it should be done right. And we not free till we are free, man. And we got to stay focused on staying on the issue.
I love it. All right, thank you for your call and your wisdom. That is exactly what we need to do. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. See right. Be right back.
Every step I take, you will be there. Every step I make, we'll be together. Every step I take, you will be there. Every step I make, we'll be together. Every step I take.
Whew. Thank you so much. I was thinking I was going to prepare a speech, but I can't read those things anymore. Name's Babyface, not Baby Body. But I wanted to, you made me sound so good with those words. I was like, that was me? I was like, when I look at my life and I think of the music and everything that I've done, I used to say that I don't know where it came from. I don't know where the words come from. I don't know where the music comes from. I don't know how I got here where I am, but that's not true. God got me here. This is and it becomes more clear to me every day that's why I'm here. And I don't even know how I ended up standing here, except for the fact that I ran into Al at the Essence. He was walking in the room, and I said, I got to go say hello. And he said, I want to honor you. And I was like, really? He goes, yeah, I want to honor you. I said, really? Yep. And here I am standing here, and I can only thank you. I always want to do this, Michael. I love you too. Sorry. But I think of moments like this, I can't help but just think of how proud my mom would be for me standing here. I have to say that just to be standing here and to be invited by Al Sharpton, and I want you guys to really think about this man who invited me here and how he has been fighting the fight for us all of these years. I don't think we give him enough credit. I don't think we give him enough love. Sometimes you just get used to people and you think, well, that's just Al. No, 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 no. He's more than that. I want y'all to give him really love. Come on, let's give him. It's very true. Because I can remember times, I'm 67 years old, I can remember times in Indianapolis, Indiana. Yeah, it's true, I'm 67. And I can remember times in Indianapolis when I was growing up, and there were places before I was 5 years old that I could not go to because I was black. And I remember how civil rights, how that changed everything for me and for my life, and that I'm standing here today because of all of those changes, and I was able to do the kind of music that I do and do everything because of those things happened. And so for me to accept an award like this, because I've never gotten an award like this before, and so I really appreciate it, and I'm just so thankful, and I thank my mom for giving me the sense to always be humble with my life and to never think that it's all about me. And so like I said, I didn't prepare a speech. I always just wanted to speak from my heart. And I'm speaking from my heart, and I want to tell you once again, Al Sharpton, you are a blessing to us all, and I thank you for inviting me for this, and thank you so much. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share.
So it's become almost an unhealthy habit how much I'm listening to Keep It Real, because it is the realest thing on the air anywhere, whether it be online or whether it be on the radio or wherever it's coming into you from, because there's no one of Rev's importance and caliber who is as dominant a media figure as he is, who allows people to speak at length, and who he treats with equal respect and admiration with every call, whether he agrees with you or not. And I'm not gonna throw shade at anybody, but there are a lot of people with big platforms like the Rev has who are afraid to talk to the people and who are afraid that the people will keep it real with them. And he never shies away from anything any of us want to talk to him about. And he doesn't shut you up. It's not a soundbite, it's a conversation. So I would like people in media to learn from this man who is carrying MLK's torch. Don't be afraid of people. Listen to them, respect them, and stand in God and stand in truth. Thank you, Nan. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, everybody who puts this together and sends it out across the world, because we need much more of it. Bless you.
We have a short visit today, so we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses. Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Good.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton.
Antoine Seawright is our co-host. Don't forget Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time every Saturday and Sunday. And I'm already calling some folk because I know people get lost during Christmas, but I'm already getting some of the senators and Congress people to agree they will be on with me Saturday night because we're going to be getting right close to to the ACA expiring and other issues that will come up. So watch Saturday night live at 5 p.m. Eastern on MS Now, formerly known as MSNBC. And then on Sundays, the Revy Awards, the 15th annual Revy Awards. That's when the Rev and my guests give out the awards for the best and the worst of the preceding year. In this case, the best and the worst of 2025. You're going to want to watch this. Antoine Seawright is one of my guests helping to determine the awards. Watch it Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So Politics Nation, both nights. And don't forget, you that are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, or you that can get to New York, we're at the House of Justice all day Thursday, starting 11 a.m. I have Christmas meal and toys and all with the elderly, with the homeless, with young children. I used to be one of them that needed to go somewhere. So come and volunteer if you can spend an hour. Many of our elected officials come and stay an hour and then go on home to do their whatever they do on Christmas. Many of our ministers do the same. Some stay all day. But, you know, if you were having your birthday and you were going to celebrate your birthday, I would not come to your birthday party and ask, what do you have for me? I'd come giving you a gift for you. It's your birthday. Well, for those that celebrate Christmas as the birth of Christ, even though I say they have the wrong date, but that's the accepted date now. Why don't you do a gift for Christ by doing something, even if it's just an hour, for somebody that need you to do a Christ-like thing? So join us at the House of Justice in Harlem, National Action Network's House of Justice, 145th and Lenox, starting at 11 o'clock and going all day at the House of Justice. Antoine, what are you going to be encouraging people to use Christmas to do across the Christmas table, talking or whatever it is they may do? What is your sage advice to people to use the holiday for?
Well, as we celebrate Christmas and remember the reason for the season, Reverend Al, let's not cancel compassion. And I think there's one thing that this president and this Republican majority has tried to do this year is try to cancel compassion or make compassion convenient. I think we have to be expressive when we talk about compassion because there's so many people unnecessarily hurting out there with this affordability crisis lingering, and we need to have compassion on those folks and compassion on others in general. So I'll start there. The second thing I'm going to make sure we start to focus on is to help people understand that we've got to start warming up the car for next year. We can't wait till the summer or the fall of next year to get ready for 2026. We've got to start now. It starts with making certain that you check the stuff goes around the table who you open those gifts with. Make sure they're registered to vote. Make sure they know who their elected officials are. And certainly make sure they understand that there are three issues all of us can think about that matter to us. And we've got to be messaging ambassadors on those three things all of next year. I don't care. For the Father, one for the Son, one for the Holy Spirit, and message the heck out of those things all year next year. So that's going to be my pre-other warm-up, Reverend Al.
All right, and I see on the message board, Tricia, 1989, says, great shows this weekend. I enjoyed the Harlem Globetrotters segment. Used to go see them at Nassau Coliseum or the Garden. All right, she was watching. We did have the Globetrotters on the 100th anniversary. Glad to have had them on. the mayor Rodney Jones, Mayor Rodney Jones, the mayor of Queensbridge houses, said, "I gave a man my gloves off my hands yesterday." That's the Christian thing to do. That's the Christmas spirit, because it's freezing in New York. And if you can help somebody in the cold, that's a blessing. All right, let's go to Fred in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Fred.
Look like we lost Fred.
All right, Fred is not there. Then let me go to Lynn in Detroit, Michigan. Lynn.
Yes, hello, Reverend Sharpton, and hello, Antoine C. Wright. Thank you for taking my call. Reverend Sharpton, I was wondering if the Democrats are doing all they can so that we can have an agenda to win and take back the Congress. And here's what I mean, and I'm glad, Antoine, that you're on, because last week, Reverend Sharpton, you asked Antoine about redistricting. And in the answer, as I recall, as you talked about the different states, and you talked about California as the Democratic state that did their redistricting to counteract Texas. Well, what are the rest of the Democratic states doing on this redistricting thing? I didn't hear a lot about what the Democratic states are doing. I heard about Louisiana and Missouri, and all of that's correct. But we need to really get busy with this redistricting in the Democratic states. We can't sit around and wait.
Antoine?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, and I should have focused on what also the Democrats are doing. Maryland, Governor Westmore has asked for a redistricting commission in order to look at how we look at seats in that state. I think there's an opportunity to only have one Republican in the state, so I think there's some looking at that by way of a commission. In Virginia, Abigail Sandberg, the Commonwealth of Virginia, she's already said we're going to attempt to do redistricting in Virginia, so we'll see what that actually looks like. In other places, we've seen Illinois, Governor Pritzker flirt with the idea of doing redistricting if Indiana were to act just like California was a response to Texas. But many of the other Democratic states, they have a Democratic governor, but a Republican legislature, or a Democratic legislature and a Republican governor. It takes two to make the thing go right. And that's why you don't hear us talking very loudly about what's happening in Democratic states, because of what they call the political legislative split in some places. But where we have both chambers, the House, the Senate, and the governor's races, they are either looking into or already have in motion to redistrict to make sure we combat what's happening on the Republican side.
Let me
Does that
see.
include New York? Does that include
New York's laws are a little bit complicated and complex. It's not just the legislature drawing up maps and saying we're going to redistrict. It's a little more nuanced in New York, but I do know the governor is going to do everything she can to make certain that there's some expansion in New York.
Now, let me say this. I think Lynn asked a critical question, because a lot of us should put the heat on everybody, hold them accountable. And the Democrats, certainly in every state, ought to have a strategy. And I agree with Antoine, some strategies you can't say out loud. But for Lynn to raise a question about New York, which has a complicated kind of process, but it ain't so complicated that we can't enact it. And the parts that we can, we need to say it. What I don't hear, I mean, NAN is out there, some other groups out there, I don't hear enough from the Democrats other than Hakeem Jeffries dealing with the legislation, talking out loud. And I've told governors this, I've told members of Congress, y'all need to come out and talk to people. You cannot expect people to be more on your side than you show that you're on your own side and theirs. Let's try to get in Christian from Manhattan. Christian?
Reverend Al,
Yes.
thank you for taking my call. And Brother C. Wright. I was in the House of Justice on Saturday. Good to be back in there. I hadn't been since the pandemic.
Was glad to have you back.
It's good. And one of the questions, well, let me stay on the, since we're talking politics. In New York, what do you think about President Kennedy's grandson, Jack, running?
He's running. He's announced he's running for Jerry Nadler's seat. Nadler's not running again, and there are several in the race. I have 2 of them have come to see me, and I've had extensive questions and answers from them. I've not heard from Kennedy's grandson. I know his mother and his aunt. So I really want to wait till I talk to everybody, including him, to weigh in on that. It's going to be a critical race. It's going to be an important race. That seat spans all of Manhattan, just about in this midsection from east to west, and I think that it is a seat that I'm going to definitely weigh in. But I want to wait and talk to everybody. I know Jack's family. I do not know him, and I want to hear what he has to say, and I want to have them all come to the House of Justice.
Oh, wonderful.
All right, I have to hear the music. Got to go. Call me tomorrow. I'm glad that you're back. We missed you. Let me thank Antoine Seawright. Let me thank all of you that called in. Listen, and you that called in and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell everybody, tell anybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Whatever you do, keep it real. I'll talk to you tomorrow.